welcome to our special show where we tell you the reality of realty. Well, the real estate boom, it really started in the early 2000s and it led to many investors going for the sector. From buying a second home or a shop in a mall to even an ATM space as investment. Many who had never invested in property before dabbled in it. Real estate at that time gave unprecedented returns. Despite many ups and downs, it still remains one of the preferred investment for many. Now, let's take a look at how the property market, after undergoing correction, is still one of the best investments. We have a special panel here with us. Let me introduce you to them. We have Mr. Manoj Gaur. He's MD Gaur Group. We have Mr. Prashant Solomon, Managing Director, Chintals India Limited. And also, Mr. Mani Rangarajan, Chief Operating Officer, Housing.com, Makan.com and PropTiger.com. Also with us is Mr. Somi Thomas. He's Managing Director, Valuation and Advisory and Co-Head, Capital Markets, Cushman and Wakefield, India. Mr. Gaur, I'd like to start with you. Many believe now that this is not the time to invest in real estate. Many people tell me that, you know, we've burnt our fingers, it's not the right time. Do you feel real estate still is one of the golden goose?
Yeah, I definitely go with this. This is the best time, I think, because the cash flow pressure is there on the developers. The price correction is already happened in many markets, especially in the NCR. I think if the developer is good, project is good, and the past record is good, and all RERA approvals are there, I think this is the best time to buy a property because the price जो आज की डेट के अंदर जो आपको किसी को मिल जाएगा वो नहीं मिलेगा. And investment जैसे भी आपने statement में भी कहा, it's a real thing. There's a real estate. Name is the real estate. ये कहीं किसी फैक्ट्री के अंदर बनाया नहीं जा सकता या किसी शेयर मार्केट के अंदर इसको जो ट्रेड नहीं किया सकता. तो रियल एस्टेट आज से नहीं सदियों से जो एक सबसे प्रेफर्ड ऑप्शन रहा है और पास में भी लोगों को बहुत ज्यादा इसके अंदर जो है अप्रिशिएशन देखने को मिला है.
So you think, take a cue from the word real and invest in it. But Prashant, what makes the time right for it? You know, we've seen a lot of factors coming together at various points of time, and that is the time when that particular mode of investment becomes best. What makes it perfect now?
Okay, Anjali, see, if you look at any form of investment in history all around the world, whether it's equities, real estate, whatever, the best time to invest is always after a crash. Everywhere.
Okay.
Whether
that
if you
heard before. Yes.
Right. So if you look at the Great Depression, you look at any equity market crash that has happened, people who understood that markets work in cycles, whether real estate or equity. So having said that, if you take the same analogy to our Indian real estate, I think this is a new era of real estate. Because the last 5 years of real estate, I think, has been, it's completely changed the industry. We've had things like RERA, we've had things like demonetization, GST, that has totally shaken the industry, but in a way I would say revolutionized it. The industry itself has changed. Now, because of RERA and the other regulations and other kind of mechanisms that have come, regulatory mechanisms, it has become a lot more professionalized. It has become a lot more like an industry, like a recognized industry. So even moving forward, there's going to be a lot more organized way of doing it.
Mani, you know, a lot of us who like to dabble in investments, they look up to certain individuals who are high net worth, you know, and we think, oh, look at what that person is doing, and that might be a good way of investing. And real estate has always been like a, you know, a favorite of theirs. Do you feel many smaller investors should also take a cue from that? Is that a good way to go?
Yeah, absolutely. I think till a few years ago, you know, real estate was considered an investment for high net worth individuals. But I think the scenario has absolutely changed now. So the first is that over the last few years, you know, the price appreciation in real estate has not been that significant. You've seen prices rising from about 2% to 5%. And in some areas around the country, the prices have actually declined. The second is real estate has become a lot more affordable. So one key metric for affordability is the ratio of the value of the property to the average household income. And if you take a city like Mumbai, it was around 11 times the average household income in terms of the value of property. This was in 2010. But then it squeezed and come down to about 7. And we have seen a trend with other cities as well. So real estate has become a lot more affordable.
So if you have that extra income and you want to take it and put it somewhere. Now, in terms of, if I speak to investors who were putting money in commercial realty earlier, they were going for one shop in a mall, one ATM space, or, smaller things like that. What would you suggest is a better category right now? What is that place where I should put my money?
So, Anjali, as you rightly said, direct investment in commercial real estate has its own challenges. When I say challenges, leasing out the property, if the tenant moves out, what will you do? If you want, an electricity connection directly, you sometimes have the problems like this. So the best option today for a high net worth investor who is looking at commercial real estate would be a REIT.
Right.
REIT, Real Estate Investment Trust. This is the first REIT got listed in India. It's well regulated. You have a professional management who takes care of the operations of the real estate, underlying real estate, and 90% of the rental income that is generated by the underlying real estate is given as rent back to the investors. So SEBI and the entire institutional framework is there to from a corporate governance perspective to give comfort to the investor. So I think a new asset class is emerging in India, and it is high time that most investors start looking at REIT as an investment than getting directly into real estate, unless you are an ultra high net worth individual who have a team to monitor, to control the leasing experience, everything. Otherwise, it's probably better to go through a proxy, and the REITs traditionally, even in developed markets, have given great returns compared to even equity as an asset class.
But what about the risk factor? How can you ensure that if I'm putting the money, it's safe, it's not at risk? Is it not vulnerable?
No, absolutely not. The first REIT regulations came in India in 2008. Post that, of course, the market did not favor unlocking of value from commercial real estate, but most importantly, SEBI has gone through multiple consultation processes to streamline the laws. I would say much stricter than what is available in a developed markets. Because in Indian real estate as an asset class and the equity markets have not really favored the investment in the past. The people have burned their fingers, even in the equities. Therefore, SEBI has gone over strict in terms of the regulations.
Right. So let me bring in the developers also over here, because you have been talking about REITs for a very long time. You looked at it as a way of raising money. But do you feel it's as beneficial for the buyer as it is for you?
Definitely जो है अभी तक I think first REIT जो है I think it will take some more time to mature this market जो है, but definitely जो small investment है, अगर किसी को जो है 5 lakhs 10 lakh invest करना है तो उसके लिए individual property को acquire करना is quite difficult.
You can't get anything in 5-10 lakhs.
But I think the REIT is the जो है quite alternate model to invest the small money, और I think with the time जैसे ये grow होगा, lot of other REITs and other commercial properties जो इसके अंदर आएंगी, so it will take some time. But I think this is the right
You want to add
way.
something to it, Prashant? Yes.
Yeah. So when you talk about how it will benefit investors, the amount of money needed to participate in the real estate story is much less than actually buying it. So secondly, it's very it's very liquid. So if a investor wants to exit their investment, it's very easy, because you just sell your units on the stock market, and it benefits developers also, because it is an alternate source of
So it's good for the market as
well. So it's good for everybody. It's good for everybody.
Right. So it's safe and it builds the confidence. That's a great thing to hear. We'll continue this conversation. It's time for a short break now. Welcome back. We are talking about real estate and how you can invest in it safely. We've been talking about how REITs is a safe way of investing in commercial real estate. But if we start comparing the returns that we get out of commercial real estate and traditional investment modes, is it good enough?
Now, when you take instruments such as REITs as well as residential real estate, I believe you could have pretty attractive rates of return. Going forward, I think there would be price appreciation of at least 5% in the residential real estate market, and you have rental yields of around 3 to 4%. And if you're willing to invest, rent out to like a PG form or a co-living form, you could enhance rental yield to 8 or 9%. And also now the buyers can take advantage of a lot of developers who are offering interest subvention schemes. So when I look at the returns that real estate investment can provide, I don't think it's anything to sneeze at, and it's pretty comparable to other investment forms.
But there was a time when people used to talk about buying one small shop or one small ATM and making like 40 times the money, and the expectations went crazy. People were expecting that every time they go to the coop, the hen would have laid a golden egg. Do you think that kind of expectations were completely unrealistic, and now what we see is the right thing, and the correction has not really dipped it too low?
Yeah, absolutely, Anjali. I think what happened is that people have made a lot of money in the early 2000 when they started investing, and probably burned their fingers when they came in too late into the party.
And even the ones who made money at that time, they kept reinvesting. So
yes,
they must have also burnt their fingers.
Yes, of course. Those people who have trying to resell the property just by booking, that entire chain of so the circulation has stopped. Now, what really happens is that real estate fundamentally will follow the GDP growth rate. So India went through a particular phase of GDP growth rate driven by IT, ITES and service sector contribution to the GDP increasing drastically compared to the others, and that is urban real estate. Service sector can happen only in the urban real estate, and that expands the space of urban real estate. So if you had bought a plot in Gurgaon in the early 2000s or late 90s, and you have probably made 25% CAGR even today. I mean, that's an amazing return over a 2 decades period when you're looking at it. But is that expectations reasonable in today's market? Probably not, because the cities have expanded. You probably have multiple infrastructure initiatives that is making the city work more efficiently, like the metro transport and multiple road initiatives, etc. So I think the return expectations would be definitely lower than what they faced, but not as bad as what they got in the last 10 years.
So, Mr. Gaur, let's get real about this. Are developers actually ready to give a better price? Because a lot of people say when you go down for negotiating, they're not. So is it true that are you people really sitting down and ready to negotiate now?
You can just imagine last 1 year we are able to sell more than 10,000 properties. I think this one sentence gives you a lot of answers. The confidence comes into the market again. If the developer is good, the track record is good, and especially after RERA. अभी ट्रेडिशनली एनसीआर के अंदर जो प्रोजेक्ट जो है पोस्ट रेरा स्टार्ट हुए थे और उनकी जो प्रॉब्लम्स आई और स्पेशली कुछ बड़े बिग नेम्स के फेल होने की वजह से डेली कोई ना कोई नेगेटिव न्यूज आती है, तो कॉन्फिडेंस एंड द परसेप्शन जो है मार्केट का बहुत लो था. लेकिन अगर डेवलपर्स का ट्रैक रिकॉर्ड ठीक है, उसकी डिलीवरी ठीक है, एंड द प्रोजेक्ट्स आर वेल रजिस्टर्ड विद द रेरा के आने से एक नया कॉन्फिडेंस मार्केट के अंदर आया है. आई थिंक वो एक चीज को सारे सिनेरियो को जो है चेंज कर रहा है. एंड जो लोग आई थिंक एक बैरियर एक क्रिएट हो गया कि आप रियल एस्टेट कौन करेगा कौन नहीं करेगा.
एक्सपेक्टेशंस आर वेरी हाई फ्रॉम द डेवलपर एज वेल. और
एक नया ट्रेंड ये भी आया कि पहले पता ही नहीं होता था कि भाई कितने अप्रूवल्स हैं, टाइमली कंप्लीट होगा नहीं. नाउ गवर्नमेंट एजेंसी लुक्स ऑल द अप्रूवल्स, टाइमलाइन, इन्वेस्टमेंट, एंड जो भी पैसा कलेक्ट हो रहा है वो वापस से प्रोजेक्ट में जा रहा है नहीं जा रहा. तो इससे नॉट ओनली इंडियन एनआरआईज की जो मार्केट है उससे भी सेल्स वी आर एबल टू सेल मोर देन 500 करोड़ रुपीज प्रॉपर्टी इन एनआरआई मार्केट, स्पेशली मिडिल ईस्ट एंड ऑल, क्योंकि वहां के लोग इन्वेस्ट करना चाहते हैं इंडिया के अंदर. लेकिन अर्लियर यहाँ पे कुछ एवरीथिंग वाज द फेक, कुछ पता ही नहीं लगता था कि कौन. नाउ दे ऑनलाइन जाके दे कैन एबल टू सी द रेरा रजिस्टर्ड है, मेरा प्रोजेक्ट मॉनिटर हो रहा है गवर्नमेंट एजेंसी. एवरी क्वार्टर वी हैव टू गिव द स्टेटमेंट, कितना मनी कलेक्ट किया, कितना प्रॉपर्टी सेल हुआ, क्या प्रोग्रेस है. आई थिंक ये अगले 2-3 साल के अंदर ये मार्केट और ज्यादा मैच्योर होगी.
Prashant, do you feel the numbers like how Mr. Gaur was telling us that so many people are coming in buying, the kind of profile that you used to see in the early 2000s and before 2008, a lot of people were coming in with their extra cash and putting in and investing. That profile, is it coming back, that buyer?
Yes, I mean it's just see the profile of the buyer is
not just that one property guy, person who's investing also. Do you feel they're coming back?
Yeah, I think so. I think, as RERA is more, gets more streamlined because it's still new, I think it is definitely going to increase, and it already has increased the confidence of investors. As Manoj ji said, you can go online, you can get information, you at least the buyer.
Transparency is there?
Transparency, yes, because because all of the details of a RERA project are registered on that particular state's RERA website. So anybody can go to the website, they can get the...
And it's easy for an individual to negotiate that whole website and trying to find out information?
Yeah, yeah.
It's easy enough.
It's easy.
I'll just add to the question, is the buyers coming back as they were putting money earlier? The question is two, different markets behave differently. In Hyderabad market, for example, has given amazing returns, and there is enough number of buyers, enough number of investors in that market. Whereas when it comes to NCR, there is a typical problem that we face. My money is stuck in some project. Unless that project gets completed, I can't sell today. So that is a perception, my liquidity is stuck. So I think the rotation of money which was stopped and that got stuck in real estate projects would need to be revived for the market to really go through the next phase. But before that, more smart buyers, like are you asking a question, can you navigate the website, etc. Of course, today's buyers are very, very smart. They're very informed.
As journalists, we like to handhold them.
Of course. And everybody has, the media has really educated them on the risk of buying into certain developers and what kind of checks are there. So I think the markets has really evolved from that perspective, and coupled with that, the regulatory oversight has given the transparency.
That's great.
That's really going to make the change to the next decade of real estate growth.
Mani, what kind of growth projections do you see for the commercial real estate in the coming few years?
I think the commercial real estate is one of the most solid sectors of the Indian real estate market. So last year we saw an absorption of close to about 48 million square foot. And I think over the next couple of years, you're going to see similar absorption rates. In fact, the net absorption, which is gross absorption minus the vacancy, is also going to rise. And if you look at individual cities, Delhi NCR, Bangalore and Hyderabad would be around around 70% of the supply and also demand. And in fact, if you look at the office market, I think demand has been outstripping supply. If you look at the retail market, there's going to be an absorption. Last year there was an absorption of about 5 million square foot. I expect that to kind of double this year, with strength in almost all the tier 1 cities and also in some tier 2 cities. So let's not forget that India is one of the largest consumer markets globally. So that's going to help improve the demand there. And the third is when you look at logistics, absorption grew by over 40% last year, and that's going to continue. So in short, I think it's a very, very healthy state of affairs so far as commercial real estate is concerned, and I expect these projections and growths to be very strong over the next few years.
That's great. So I see good returns. Good.
Yeah.
Now, starting from you, Somi, one line for our investor, one line advice if you could give me. So I want short, snappy something.
I think commercial real estate, especially REIT, is one of the best options for HNIs today to consider. It would give a range of 12 to 15% annualized returns.
Okay. What about you?
I agree. I like REITs because they exhibit some characteristics of both the equity markets and the bond markets. So you get rental income as well as capital appreciation.
Yeah, this is the best time to invest, in my opinion. REITs or traditional property, it's up to you. But the time is now. And you don't have to worry, because now there are a lot more things in place that will make your money safe.
Mr. Gaur.
I think it's the last chance. Otherwise, after that, a lot of developers are leaving this, and only very few are there. And by these RERA and all, the price definitely will go up.
Yeah, when there's less competition, there's always...
Due to the cash flow, market इस time बहुत ही low उसके price के हो रहा है. I think अभी भी जो लोग invest नहीं करेंगे उनको दोबारा chance
And if I may say, if there is less competition, there is always possibility of cartelization, so it's better to invest right now. Well, with that quip, I'm going to wrap right now, but I would just say that don't sit on the fence. Take the leap now, because you have an extra cushion now. There is safety. There are safeguards. So take that leap. Thank you.